Donald Trump is setting the stage and priming his supporters to reject election results if he loses, accusing his opponents of cheating in a series of baseless claims.
They spend all this money on machines, and they're going to say, we may take an extra 12 days to determine. And what do you think happens during that 12 days? They are fighting so hard to steal this damn thing.
In one of his final rallies, Trump's language hit extremes even by his standards. From the former president expressing regret he left the White House after losing the 2020 vote.
We had the safest border in the history of our country the day that I left. I shouldn't have left.
To jokes about the attempts on his life and violent rhetoric.
To get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much.
She's in Detroit.
Kamala Harris focusing on battleground Michigan, urging voters in Detroit to make a plan to get to the polls.
In just 2 days, we have the power to decide the fate of our nation.
And trying to combat Trump's unfounded claims of voter fraud.
I would ask, in particular, people who have not yet voted, to not fall for his tactic. The systems that are in place for this election in 2024 have integrity. They are good systems.
All the day after a surprise appearance on Saturday Night Live.
The American people want to stop the chaos
And end the drama
with a cool new stepmama.
In Washington, D.C., at Harris's alma mater, Howard University, preparations are underway to host Democrats and their election night headquarters. Students here remain hopeful, inspired by Harris's candidacy.
Honestly, it is an amazing feeling. It's crazy to think that we have come so far.
Oh, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling to see how she came from being at Howard and just to see that there's goals for me to, maybe get in politics one day.
National and swing state polls both suggest that this race remains a toss-up with just hours of campaigning left. Yeah.
But there's one poll that seems to be an outlier.
Yeah, a well-respected pollster out of Iowa says Harris has taken a 3-point lead in that state. Donald Trump has won Iowa in the last 2 elections, and no one is realistically expecting Democrats to pick it up. But it's more broadly being interpreted as possibly a reflection of what some Midwestern voters are feeling in this moment, particularly in neighboring Wisconsin, a swing state, and nearby Michigan.
Katie Simpson in Washington. And security in Washington is ramping up in preparation for Election Day. Workers were adding new fencing around the White House today to create a larger, secure perimeter. Additional barriers were also set up outside the Vice President's residence, and Secret Service have been stationed around these areas as more tourists flock to the Capitol. When it comes to voting, parts of North Carolina have a bigger challenge than most. The devastation from Hurricane Helene wiped out homes and businesses and polling stations. But as Katie Nicholson found out, rather than deterring voters, it seems to have energized them. A little bit rocky there.
It's been 5 weeks since the remnants of Hurricane Helene ravaged western North Carolina.
They pulled it all with it and took it all to the bottom, so we were finding homes that were a mile away or more.
The storm claimed more than 100 lives in this state, 3 of them along this stretch of mountain road.
They got caught up in it and were swept away.
You'd think voting would be the last thing on anyone's mind. But after Jason Stokes and his wife Anna Ray were rescued during the government response, it galvanized them to vote early.
If we want to have a government that works, then we've got to get this vote right.
North Carolina has shattered early voting records, led in fact by the regions hit hardest by Helene, which have outpaced the rest of the state, thanks in part to special measures to ensure disaster victims could vote. Still, there are fears Helene may impact the election.
It's affected everything, so there's no doubt that it will in some form.
There was an offering by the state Republican Party to send a helicopter in and to actually fly them out. There's some tarps back there.
Helene upended the Yancey County Republicans' original game plan.
Just in case people don't have PPE. So that focus really shifted away from a we they, and it become more of a focus about our community here and the fact that we still need to be strong.
The storm wiped some polling stations off the map. 7 sturdy FEMA-style tents now in place for Election Day.
These locations became disaster relief areas.
Yeah. In Buncombe County, the Democrats have scrambled to make sure everyone knows where to vote on the big day and are micro-targeting voters.
We've had to identify the neighborhoods that are most devastated and pretty much stay away from them or text it. So if people want to get engaged, they can.
Helene also forced victims in these deeply partisan areas to work together, literally rebuilding bridges.
There is a way to work together if it matters to us enough. And in this case, it did. So hopefully we can take that forward.
And Ian, that's something that many here hope extends well beyond Election Day.
And are both parties on board with these special emergency voting measures?
Yes, they are, much to the amusement of some Democratic leaders in this state. Donald Trump has historically criticized early voting. In fact, he did it again today. And as we heard Katie Simpson mention, he may be trying to lay the groundwork to challenge election results. And in this swing state with such thin margins, that is certainly something that could open the door to more challenges on Election Day and beyond.
Katie Nicholson reporting from Asheville, North Carolina tonight. With time winding down to reach as many voters as possible in the 7 battleground states, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are leaning on their running mates.
I brought this just to illustrate how much Kamala Harris's inflation has cost us. This is $5,000 right here.
J.D. Vance in Pennsylvania trying to tie Harris to inflation, questioning her competence. Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, hitting a rally in Atlanta, Georgia, where he stressed the race there could come down to just one vote. Pennsylvania is one of the most pivotal swing states. Its 19 electoral votes are more than any other. Richard Madden traveled across the state, hearing from some of the country's most coveted voters.
From festivals to farm country, we spoke to voters across battleground Pennsylvania, whose views are divided, diverse, and could determine who wins the keys to the White House.
We just don't talk about politics because it just does, to me, doesn't make any sense.
Outside this Italian cafe in Pittsburgh, old friends Silvio and Vincent are at odds. Vincent is voting Democrat this time.
Kamala. Because she's the best for that. These other guys and a lunatic.
Silvio is all in for Trump.
I'm a working man. I used to be a working man, so I can afford $5 a gallon. To me, Trump was beautiful.
Pittsburgh is in Allegheny County, a key region Democrats need to hold, but Republicans appear to be making inroads. Crossing through the heartland, it's Trump country. Supporters we spoke with believe Trump's bogus claims of a stolen election in 2020 and that it's happening again in 2024. If Trump loses, do you think it's rigged?
Absolutely. I mean, it already is known to be rigged. There's so much corruption here.
Trump is already laying the groundwork to dispute the results of the upcoming election, claiming fraud, cheating big in Pennsylvania. While state officials say they're investigating but have found no evidence,
When we deliver, Harris walks and
Philadelphia's mayor tells us she's not taking Trump's bait.
Everyone else is focused on nonsense and conspiracy theories coming from I don't know where. In Philadelphia, as the mayor, I have one thing in mind, and that's top. Turn out Philly.
Some of the state's most competitive races are in Philadelphia's suburbs and where the election will likely be decided.
I've always been a Republican my whole entire life.
Oh, but this time?
I've changed. I'm a Democrat.
Because?
Because I'm not rooting for Donald Trump. Absolutely not. He takes away women's rights. He's just disgusting.
I'm feeling pretty anxious. We are in the swingiest part of a swing state. And if you drive around here and look at yard signs, it's almost 50-50.
Now, Pennsylvania's early voting system has had some problems, long lineups and accusations of voter suppression. It forced the courts to intervene to extend the hours of this key swing state.
And on election eve, both Trump and Harris are headed your way. What's in store?
Yeah, they're both barnstorming Pennsylvania to make that final push. Trump and Harris will hold dueling rallies in Pittsburgh, and then Harris will close her campaign here in Philadelphia, joined by celebrities Oprah Winfrey, Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, for a big Get Out the Vote concert.
Richard Madden in Philadelphia tonight. Pennsylvania is part of the Blue Wall along with Michigan and Wisconsin. Once reliably Democratic, all three are in play this time. Ithel Musa is in Wisconsin, where voters took a break from partisan politics to join together in that statewide ritual, Green Bay Packers football.
On the Sunday before Election Day in battleground Wisconsin, it's not about the red or blue.
Yeah, go Pack, go! Go Pack, go!
It's game day, and everyone here is united in green.
Football brings everybody together. It's the common denominator for all of us.
The Green Bay Packers football team is indeed a unifying force. Most fans are focused on defeating their rival, but there are a few here who admit there's also another competition on their minds.
I know it's a swing state, has always been a swing state for the past couple of presidential elections. It's going to be a toss-up. It's tough.
Right now, the way the numbers are going, it's 1 percentage point between the two, so it'll be interesting to see how it all comes out.
Wisconsin's 10 electoral college votes are critical in this election, and both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris know it. The presidential candidates held dueling rallies on Friday within 10 kilometers of each other. Now, on Sunday,
we have to wrap up before the Packers-Lions game starts.
Just before the game, one of the Harris campaign's top surrogates, former President Barack Obama, hitting a key theme of the campaign.
If Congress passes a bill to restore the reproductive freedom that women had for nearly 50 years and that Donald Trump bragged about taking away, Kamala Harris will sign it into law.
Wisconsin has been a reliable brick in the Midwestern blue wall that has helped usher Democrats into the White House. That streak ended with Trump's shocking win in 2016, something he's now hoping to repeat. But some voters here say they're turned off by some of the divisive political rhetoric. This couple, divided by their football loyalties, are hopeful Americans can come together.
We're one team, one dream, right? And I think that with our relationship, and I think that with our country, right? We are one country.
A country with one big decision to make come Tuesday. Ithel Musa, CBC News, Green Bay, Wisconsin.